Okay, next up is our current points leader in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and that's Elliott Sadler, and he drives the number 11 Sports Clip Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. And Elliott, good to see you. And what's your outlook for here at Daytona tomorrow night as we approach the midpoint of the season, and you're in the points lead and certainly looking for another victory?
We always have a good outlook for restrictor plate races. We ran very well here in February, and of course we had the win at the last time we were at a restrictor plate race. So it's always a wild one. You never know what's going to happen. It's always got a lot of cautions here at the end. You got to be in the right line at the right time, and hopefully we'll keep ourselves up front. We had a really fast car, same car we won with at Talladega, really good in practice, and try to stay out of trouble and be in the right place at the right time and be there at the end. Not only are we trying to race for the win this weekend, we also are racing to try to be a part of the Nationwide Series Dash for Cash, and that starts this weekend too. So that's always very important to our series. So we also have that in the back of our mind as well.
Questions for Elliott? If you have one, raise your hand. We'll go back in the back there with Jerry. Darrell, you'll have to wait, and then we'll get Dwight. Go ahead.
Jerry Jordan kicking the tires. Elliott, they're going to have one of the biggest fireworks celebrations in the air anywhere tomorrow night here. Can you talk about your craziest fireworks moment through your youth?
No. We used to do some stupid things with fireworks back in the day, so let's just leave it at that. I don't want to incriminate anyone.
Okay.
But we love fireworks. I've been fortunate enough to. I took my kids to Disney World this week, and we've gotten to see fireworks each night. And I told them that, after we do a little racing tomorrow night, we'll have a great fireworks show here. So we're looking forward to that, and we'll leave that to the experts from now on moving forward.
Let's go to Dwight, and then we'll go to Chris.
Dwight Garmer, Stake.com. As far as the Nationwide Series and points, it seems like it's been really meager as far as the top guy and how close it is, at the top. And it seems like it's been all season. Does that kind of wear on you, or does that motivate you?
I don't know. I think if you worry yourself to death about points right now, you're going to be tore all to pieces by the time November gets here. I'm just, we look at it to say, okay, yeah, Regan's doing good and Chase is doing good, and we feel like it's a 3-horse race right now, or has been so far. But as far as like trying to critique it and worry yourself to death, how close you are or race that, I think there's no way you can be healthy for you week in and week out. We just race, man. I race to try to run up front and let's lead some laps and let's put ourselves in position to try to win the race. Let's take some chances, and if we can do that, and the points will take care of themselves. I just, we look at the points a little bit, but it's just not. I don't think it's that time of season yet to. There's too many wild card races and stuff left to do. We're only halfway, to say the least.
We got Chris. We'll go Steve, and then Dustin. Chris, Steve, and Dustin.
Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Hey, Elliott. Some of the NASCAR Nationwide Series teams were done with practice about a half hour into the session. Do you contribute that to heat, and what are you doing to stay pretty hydrated this weekend?
No, I contribute that to you have all your eggs in one basket with a race car. Most of these nationwide teams you take that one primary car and you have it in the wind tunnel, and you've done everything you can do to it before you unload. When you unload here at Daytona, especially in the Nationwide Series, you've done all you can do to that car. So you go out there and you run it one run, and you see how it is in the draft. Make sure, the carburetor's working correctly and the transmission's shifting okay and it's not doing anything funny in the draft. You run a few laps, and I think we ran like 6 laps of practice, and we came in and scuffed a couple sets of tires, and we were done. But in the Nationwide Series, with the rules that we have from NASCAR to kind of keep us all in the small little play box, that you've done all you can do at the shop. There's no need to go out there and take chances and wreck a car that you have all that time in, wind tunnel time and fine tuning and kind of rubbing on it, getting it ready for this weekend. I don't think it has anything to do with the heat, man. We're used to this. Hell, it's not really that hot down here, to be honest with you. Wait till Indy in August. It's way hotter than this.
Mm-hmm. Elliott, Steve Post with MRN. Racing here under the lights in the heat in July. How does it differ from February, and even what are the differences that you'll see tomorrow night, even from Talladega, where you guys won earlier this year?
Yeah, we have 2 concerns here, major concerns here this weekend for this race. One is the air intake, front end grill opening to the motors. We think running in a pack this weekend, we're going to get hot because it is a little hotter than what it was here in February. So you're going to have to really manage your temperatures. So we think with the opening NASCAR's given us that we're going to run hot. So we're really going to have to watch our temperatures tomorrow night during the race. And, handling is a little bit different of an issue here in July than it is in February. Always is. The track's a little bit hotter. It bakes all day long. Even when you race at night, the track's a little bit slicker. So the handling's going to be a little bit more of a characteristic, a little bit more of an issue than what we had in February. But the biggest issue is the radiator intake, grill opening is so small that you're really going to have to watch your water temperature here.
We'll go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, MRN.com. You've raced against Regan for a while and raced in points races. So my guess is in your book, you probably know what he's going to do in most situations. You're racing against right now Chase and Ty Dillon, younger guys that you haven't raced as much of. How much is this a learning process for you, as I'm sure it is for them? And what are you looking at? How are you trying to assess those guys, to keep things in mind for what could be in place at the end of the season?
Yeah, that's a good question. And kind of, Dustin, the way I look at it as, junior motorsports has been fast this year everywhere. Those guys have done a really good job this past winter. They hired some key people over there, and their team has just been really fast. So we know going to some of these tracks, Chase has been a rocket fast on 1.5 mile tracks. So we know when we show up some of these 1.5 miles coming, like Chicago's coming down the road and places like that, we know we're going to have to be at the top of our game. Regan Smith's super speedway experience the last couple of years has been fast. He's going to run up front. He's going to win some races. He's going to be in the top 5. So that's kind of what we're looking at. As far as we just know, week in and week out, these guys are going to be strong, and we're just going to have to bring our A game. But the way we look at it is, that's rule number one. Right. Well, rule number one in racing, you race people how they race you. And, Chase and I have raced each other a few times so far this year and given each other plenty of room. We're racing each other hard, side drafting and things like that, but not really putting each other in some bad situations. And Regan and I had a few mishaps last year. We've had none this year. And just rule number one in racing, I don't care if you're racing the trucks or Nationwide or Cup. Most of the guys are going to race you how you race them. I don't care if you're, it doesn't matter, in my opinion, whether you're leading the points or not. If you give room and respect to this guy at the beginning of the race, he's going to do the same for you and vice versa. So at some point as the season gets closer, that's going to get worse. Yeah, you're going to start racing each other harder, definitely. Yeah.
Let's go to Don Coble and Jeff Hood.
Elliott, Don Coble with Morris News Service. Is this race any different than some others that you really have to kind of pay attention who you're around? Because a lot of these younger guys don't have a lot of plate experience. And when you get down to the last 20 laps, are you stuck with whoever you're stuck with regardless?
Yeah, that's what happened to us here in February. We ran in the top 2 or 3 the whole time and just kind of got stuck in the wrong line at the wrong time with the last 6 or 7 laps. And I think we came away with 5th, and we should have got a way better finish than that. You 100% watch who you're drafting with and who you're around as far as being at Talladega and Daytona, because some guys, better drafters than others, and you want to go with the guy that can get you to the front. Yeah, guys are going to talk teammates, and you got to work together and manufacturers and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, most of the good drivers are going to go with the guys that can get you to the front. And I think that's what you do. And you feel like sometimes when you come up and you got to make a choice between a guy that's never drafted before or doesn't have a lot of experience, and he's side by side with a guy that has a pretty good track record, you're going to go with the guy with a pretty good track record because you feel like he's going to make some better decisions and better moves that's going to keep you, both you guys towards the front of the field. So you definitely pay attention to who you're racing around and who they are and how much experience they have at these places.
Final question, Jeff Hood.
Hey, Elliott. Jeff Hood of RacingToday.com. You've obviously got a great spotter in Brett Griffin. I'm assuming he was on the spotter stand at Talladega back in the spring when you won the race. Can you kind of talk about how nerve-wracking it is for spotters on these type tracks and about the confidence you have in your guy?
The biggest lesson I learned at spotting for restrictor plate races is I spotted from my brother one time at Talladega in a nationwide race about 7 or 8 years ago. Those guys can't see anything like they said they could. So that's probably the best thing I've ever done. You know, those guys do a good job with binoculars, and they really work well together. But I learned a lot being on top of that roof about what these guys can see or not see, and you know, these guys are the best in the business as far as seeing what's going on. And what Brett is, I think, really good at with me and with Clint. He understands racing so much. He understands tendencies of other drivers. When certain drivers get behind you, what moves they like to make. Like, well, this guy's not real patient now. As soon as the restart's going to happen, he's going to make it 3 wide. Or the guy behind you now is going to stay in line and likes to push and things like that. So it's good to have a guy on top of the roof that understands the race and has a lot of common sense about what's going on. But for them to call 2 and 3 wide down the back stretch and who's making moves, sometimes it might be a little sketchy, man. It's a long ways across there. So, but those guys do a good job, you know, spotting, I feel like. And I think sometimes they don't get the full credit they deserve. It's a lot going on up there.
Elliott, before I let you go, maybe if you could speak to the fact that tomorrow night's race is the qualifier for the Nationwide Series Dash for Cash program, and certainly I know you're a big fan of that. Maybe speak to that a little bit and how you hope to get into that mix going into New Hampshire.
Heck yeah, man! I'm a big fan of that. Nationwide Series does a lot of different cool things to promote, you know, their drivers in the Nationwide Series, and this is what we talked about a couple years ago when we were talking about splitting up the points and things like that. But man, Nationwide is really taking it a step further. This Dash for Cash brings a lot of attention to our teams. It brings a lot of attention to our drivers, a lot of incentive. $100,000 is a ton of money for nationwide drivers these days, but most of all, it brings a lot of attention to our sponsors. Our sponsors love it when you're a part of the Dash for Cash. And we've been very fortunate enough the last couple of years to win a couple of these things each year and be a part of them. It's a lot of fun. Daytona's kind of a wild card race. Anything can happen. So, you know, you got to be up front all night to have a chance to be a part of the Dash for Cash going to New Hampshire. I like the new format where it's 4 or 5, you know, it's 5 weeks in a row. Just that intensity carried on a lot of different style of racetracks. So, guys, this is big for the Nationwide Series to have this Dash for Cash. Can't thank those guys enough. But our personal sponsors that sponsor our race teams each week, like Sport Clips and 1 Million Financial, love this extra access and extra identity that this Dash for Cash brings to the Nationwide Series.
Thank you, Elliott, and certainly good luck.
Thank you very much. Oh, what is this?
All right. Ladies and
Sharing a
gentlemen,
Coke with Bubba, guys.
sharing a Coke with
You
Bubba
at least could
Wallace.
have cooled it off for me. I like it.
That was great, Bubba. Great move.
That was, Bubba. Thank you, brother.
Thank you now.
Thanks, guys.